Hello and welcome to Tarot Heaven YouTube series. My name is Laurel, your host, and today we will be discussing the exoteric aspects of the High Priestess. Please visit tarotheaven.com for more information, or watch this video, like this video, subscribe to my channel, or comment below. We didn't really go anywhere, really. I just edited that part. Getting better at editing. Today we will be discussing the High Priestess. I know it's a favorite card of many people who study tarot. We will be taking a look at the High Priestess on an exoteric level. And I will review the High Priestess as a person or an archetype. This is often called the signifier. We will be taking a look at the High Priestess in love, what it generally means when you pull the High Priestess for feelings. We will be taking a look at what the High Priestess means when you get it in an advice position. And we will finally take a look at what it means if it is an obstacle or a crossing card. Now, I really can't start off any exoteric information without first pointing the way to just a little bit of esoteric information first. The High Priestess governs the moon. And the moon is astrologically associated with the astrological sign of Cancer. The Chariot is the card that rules Cancer. Now, these two cards actually have a lot more in common than you'd first think. Well, first off, the High Priestess, the polarities that the High Priestess governs are war and peace, or strife and peace, and the Chariot seems to be on a military journey. It appears that way. So that's just something to think about. Also, the Priestess and Priest of the tarot deck, the Hierophant and the High Priestess, they don't just have these two names in common. We think, oh, they go together because they're both in a churchy thingy, but that's true, yes. But the High Priestess, the card is exalted in Taurus, and the Hierophant rules Taurus. Something else to meditate on, perhaps. And last but not least, the last correspondence or correlation that I want to bring to your attention is the Empress and the High Priestess. They are both aspects of the feminine. The High Priestess is the subconscious aspect of feminine, while the Empress is the conscious aspect of feminine, which is interesting because when you get to the Empress card and you get to the Emperor card, one doesn't function well without the other, because when we study the Empress and the Emperor together as a whole, we have the Empress as subconscious and the Emperor as consciousness. So very interesting things to think about esoterically, and I'm just going to leave you with those little hints, and you can think about it. Maybe you could comment below or email me, and I will leave you to that. What is this? I guess, what does this really tell us about feminine energy? What does it tell us about our society? What does it tell us about the mystical aspects of tarot? If you choose to use tarot as a meditation guide or a meditation tool, what do these correspondences relate back to us? Now, let's just take a look at some exoteric elements, because I know that's what most people are very interested in learning about. So yeah, okay. Let's first look at the High Priestess as an archetype. We can't really start Well, I'll give you some hints of how I came about thinking about the High Priestess as an archetype. We can look at the mythological correspondences to it, which I guess is more esoteric. But we have Diana the Huntress, right? She's a virgin huntress. It's very important to note. Virgin huntress. We also have Morgana, who is a druid priestess. We have Hecate, who is the Greek goddess that rules the moon and the magic. And she also helped Demeter, and Demeter is associated with the Empress. And I guess last but not least, it's one that people don't like to talk about in tarot often, but it is the Virgin Mary. The High Priestess is associated with the Virgin Mary, or the Virgin Mother. My daughter's father thought that I also had a virgin birth until DNA proved him wrong. Let him rest in peace. So, what do we gather from all of those relationships? Well, we have a magical moon-worshipping huntress goddess, because Hecate also rules crossroads, and she helped Demeter hunt for her daughter, or figure out how to find her daughter in the underworld. So who is the High Priestess as an archetype? She's a single woman. Obviously, she's single because she's a virgin who can also be pregnant, which is a paradox. The High Priestess is often seen as a paradox or an enigma. She is often shrouded and veiled in some sort of mystery. She's very, she's quite misunderstood, I think. She's somebody that you will probably really never know truly. She keeps things to herself. She's introverted. She's quiet. She loves reading, loves books, loves knowledge. She is most likely somebody who was born psychic, so just sort of was thrust into this world and continues right back on the path that she left off on, which is the path of enlightenment, or the path of return, or whatever you want to call it. And she's very careful about who she allows into her circle of friends. She's somebody that can spend hours alone, and she's someone who is equally careful about who she allows into her home, because she's so sensitive to those energies. So if you are invited into somebody who's like the High Priestess, you will probably find that her home is quite sterile looking. There are often going to be tons and tons of books, papers, but it will lack that Empress Venusian interior decorating feeling to it. On the flip side of that, you will find that it has its equally mysterious side to it as well. And I guess as a single person, she does represent a single woman, and the Magician represents a single man, typically. I mean, so as an archetype, we can gather with that information some professions that would best fall under the High Priestess, and I think secretary is one, bookkeeper. She would make a good accountant. She does hold all the records that ever was or will be said. You could be a psychic, a tarot reader, and anything to do with water. So there's a lot of water behind her, and there's also, her gown is supposed to flow into the water. It's supposed to actually be a representation of water. And the moon waxes and wanes with the tides. So it's all water. So anything water related, a cruise ship, working on a cruise ship, whale watcher, oceanographer, marine biologist, anything to do with boating. She could be a healer of any kind, but most likely a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because she can really, using that gift of knowing, she can really relate and help people. The High Priestess in love. As I've said before, the High Priestess represents a single woman. So this card's not so great in love, and I know this is the third video that I've made where I'm saying I'm sorry that's not a good card in love, but there are good cards in love in tarot. This just is not a good one. But no fear, you will find love. You will find your perfect mate. Don't worry, we've got that covered. The universe has you covered. I'm sure of it. So, it can mean that the person you're interested in or you're dating, you may find somebody you're interested in. There may be this chemistry. It usually indicates that there was some sort of past life marriage or some sort of future marriage, but in this present time there will not be a union. Or you may have to wait 30 years. I don't know about that one. That I cannot see that far into the future, but just because you feel the chemistry for somebody doesn't mean that it will result in the most perfect union. And in fact, many of our unions we have with people result from just really wonderful friendships and having commonalities. So just because you feel passion and chemistry with someone does not always mean that they're the right ones for you. And if you get the High Priestess in a reading, it may indicate that it is a psychic telepathic connection, and maybe you're just better off dreaming about the person, and that's it. For a man to get this card, it would definitely indicate that the woman is unavailable. She's doing something else, and it's definitely she's unavailable. So move along. If you get the Empress, that's a different story, but you didn't get the Empress today. We're talking about the High Priestess today. You get the Empress later. That's also a wonderful card. I like them all. They're all great cards. I just so relate to this High Priestess lady. Right down to that virgin birth he thought I had. It wasn't a virgin birth. Yeah. If you were a man seeking a woman, you should know that you will never fully grasp her heart. If you're a woman asking about love, it is telling you that you should remain single for a while and focus on yourself and your career, and it is definitely a waiting period. This is a period of incubation, germination, and reflection. Pause before you go. If you are in a relationship and you see another court card, such as a queen court card, a queen of cups, queen of pentacles, queen of swords, it doesn't matter. If you see one of these or any of the three pentacles, three of wands, three of cups, then you are most likely involved in a love triangle, and the High Priestess is an indicator of the other woman. This is from my own personal experience. I know other people have different ways of gauging this, but this is what I have sort of come across in the readings that I've done. and the meditations that I've done. If you are married and you just get the High Priestess alone, again, you probably really don't know your wife very well. If you're a man, she most likely keeps a lot of secrets from you. She may be a very secretive person, and for good reason. It depends on the other surrounding cards and why she would be keeping these secrets from you, but there's some sort of secret involved. If you get the High Priestess, say with some other cards, it can indicate infertility, or that it's not the right time to have a baby. So say you're asking about a baby, it's not the right time. The High Priestess as feelings, you feel withdrawn, you feel like being alone. So if you have just gone out on a date with someone for the first time and you come back and you are curious to know how she feels about you or how he feels about you, then they feel like being reserved, they feel quiet, they feel introspective, and they sort of feel like being alone. They may even feel like dreaming about you. But it's a card of inactivity. It's not a card of action. It's sort of a card of passive inaction is what I like to call it. So you might just want to dream about the person, and you'd feel better about that than being in a relationship with somebody. Relationships take a lot of work, and they're usually not that easy. They're usually easy like in the beginning. And then the work part comes along. The High Priestess as advice is, again, it's a reflection period, a period of listening to your dreams, a period of, I like to call it germination, but I think I read more frequently this incubation. There's also dualities involved because of that number 2 and because of the pillars. So there's probably paradoxes. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're asking advice because you don't understand the paradox, there may be some cognitive dissonance going on. So as advice, it advises you to look really deeply into the situation, because it's not what you seem, it's not what you think it is, and it's definitely not what it seems. Finally, we have the High Priestess as an obstacle, or if you read as a reversal. High Priestess as a obstacle or as a crossing card or as a reversal really means that you're not listening to your intuition. It indicates that there's a blockage of some kind. You're blind to your own emotions. You're blind to your own feelings. It can also indicate that there's a woman involved and she's manipulative. So it's sort of similar to the Magician reverse, but on a woman, like a woman's like this. She's usually, she can be slightly psychic, not totally, and she uses this gift to plant negative subconscious seeds in your mind, or she's just some cold, manipulative woman that just cares only for herself. And I would stay away from people like that for certain, because, it also indicates that you are not balanced. There's an unbalance. So hypochondria. This is somebody who could be very hypochondriac about things, and they typically have unnecessary, bizarre fears. Not bizarre fears, but there's some fear there that is should be rooted out. You should get to the bottom of that fear. And they may even have a fear of anything spiritual or anything to do with spirits or psychic things or tarot cards. That concludes my presentation of the High Priestess. Please like, subscribe to Tarot Heaven, visit tarotheaven.com, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye, my lovelies.